He says, you don't go to the normal people. He says, don't worry about that. If you want to reach the world, then you've got to reach the rich and the famous. Then, don't worry about the unpopular or the poor. Work to reach the influential people, and then everybody else will follow them. And so I got to thinking, oh no, why didn't anybody tell Jesus about that? I mean, Jesus was so unstrategic. He just went to anybody. He went to any kind of rubbish. I mean, look at the disciples that he chose. They were a bunch of losers. They'd already been rejected by the Pharisees and others. He wasted his time on no-hopers. Why didn't somebody tell Jesus that? Why didn't they give him good advice? True story. Talking about advice, 24 years ago in Lake Isabella, which is located in the high desert about an hour east of Bakersfield, California. This lady who was new to boating, she'd never boated in her life, but she wanted to boat. She'd always dreamed of it, and she'd bought this brand new 22-foot Bayliner boat. But she was having problems with her boat. She couldn't get it to plane. She could hardly get it to run, No matter how much power she applied, it just didn't seem to run right. Well, about an hour, trying to make it to go, she putted over to this nearby marina, hoping that they could tell her what was wrong with her new boat. Well, they did this thorough topside check on her boat, and it revealed that everything was in perfect working order. The engine ran fine. The pitch was right. The prop was the correct size. So in curiosity, one of the guys, he jumps under the boat into the water, to look underneath, see what's going on. He comes up choking on water. He's laughing so hard. Underneath the boat, still strapped in place, was the boat trailer. This lady had been trying to drive her boat with a boat trailer strapped on it. She needed some boating advice, right? Well, my friends, Jesus was the most influential person to ever live, and he's still reaching people today through the work of his Spirit and through his followers, the local church. That's you and me. That's his strategy. See, my friend was dead wrong. It's us. God wants to use us. So how did Jesus, and as we look at Jesus' life, how did he reach people? Well, of course, we know that he preached to masses and crowds. He preached in the synagogue and things like that. But what did Jesus do outside of the preaching arena? Because the truth is, no one has impacted the world like Jesus did. Well, as I've studied the life of Jesus, I've noticed something. I think it's very powerful. I've noticed that much of the time, Jesus avoided the crowds to look for the one. Much of the time, Jesus avoided the crowds to look for the one. In fact, he always seemed to look for the one on the outside of the in crowd. So as we look at Jesus' strategy for reaching people, and I encourage you to follow through on your notes, the first thing that Jesus did is he always looked for the one on the outside. He always looked for the one on the outside. We have several examples. One example is this. There's a time in John chapter 4, verses 4 through 42. Jesus and his disciples, they've been on this journey, and they're traveling through Samaria, to get to Galilee, and they come to this town called Sychar. Well, Jesus sits down by this well because he's tired. He tells the disciples, hey, I'm hungry as well. Go get me a Big Mac, a Coke, and a fry. You guys didn't know they had McDonald's back then? Yeah, they did. I'm teasing. But he's sitting by this well. And this one lone Samaritan woman comes to the well to draw water. It's in the heat of the day. And I love what he does. I love what he does in trying to reach out to her. He doesn't ask her if she's heard about the 4 spiritual laws. He doesn't ask her if she's worried about her